Mr. Chairman, it is 6:03 on September the 14th at the Hrpb meeting. We are live.
Okay, let's start the hearing. This is the Historic Resources Preservation Board regular meeting for the city of Lake Beach, September 14th. Did I get the roll call?
Sure. Bob Dorenzo,
Here.
Steve Pickett,
Here.
Bernard Guthrie, Jamie Foreman, Tricia Howson Mishler, Nadine Heights, and Mariana Gonzalez. Here, you have a quorum.
Do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering?
No, Mr. Chairman, we do not.
Okay. Can I get a motion on approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor say aye.
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 Everybody's not in favor, say nay. It's approved unanimously, so we will start on the cases. We have swearing in of the staff applicants.
You plan to give testimony this evening, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
And we have approved publication.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Provided in the meeting packet.
Any withdrawals or postponements? Okay. I guess we move on. There's no consent agenda. We'll move on to public hearings.
I think we should, although it wasn't an agenda, we need to swear in the two new board members.
Oh, yeah, we need to do that.
It was not on the agenda, unfortunately, but I think we need.
Okay.
Whoops, we do have an amendment.
So I'm gonna ask the two new board members to stand, and I'm just gonna read it, and once I'm completed, just say that you agree with it, and then. Yeah. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States and the state of Florida against all enemies, domestic or foreign, and that you will bear true faith, loyalty, and allegiance to the same, that you're entitled to hold office under the Constitution and the Charter of the City of Lake Beach, and that you will faithfully perform all of the duties of the office of appointed member of the Historic Resources Preservation Board? Yes, thank you.
Okay, do we have any board disclosures?
No, sir.
So share the presentation.
And we're just looking at unfinished business, so I guess we start with your business.
We have to do
Oh, yes, that'd be important.
the.
It is, it's up at the top.
Oh, it was at the top.
We missed the pledge.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world. We can redo it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
New business, we have Hrpb project number 22-00100250. Consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for a door replacement for a single family house located at 432 South L Street. Subject property is a determined resource within the Southeast Lucerne Historic District and is located in the single family residential zoning district. Future land use is in the residential.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ian. I'm a historic preservation with the city of Lakewood, and I will be talking about project number 22-00100250. As the chair said, it's located at 432 South L Street. It's a contributing resource in the Southeast Lucerne Historic District, and it's a single family residential. Next slide, please. That is the location of in the map of the structure. Next slide. So the structure was built in 1940. It's a frame vernacular architectural style. Although it appears like it's masonry, it has been stuccoed, but we don't have any record when it was stuccoed. Next slide, please. This is the current condition of the structure. You can see the opening number 10 and the front facade also on the right side. You see that's the door that I'm trying to replace. It is a 6-panel raised door. Next slide, please. And the homeowner is requesting to replace it with a 6-panel impact door, raised 6-panel impact door. Next slide, please. So under our preservation guidelines, from a wood frame vernacular doors, we recommend a recessed panel door instead of a raised panel door. You can see that example on the right side. It's a six recessed panel door. And that's what we recommend for our vernacular doors or homes. Next slide, please. But staff is also aware that accessing these recessed panel doors is really hard in the market. And also that we want the board to discuss and clarify the use of raised 6-panel doors as an alternative option. And also the homeowner has interpreted the image that was in our design guidelines as raised instead of recessed. So that is also something that we need clarification with. But staff recommends, next slide, please. And staff recommends the 3-panel craftsman door. It is hurricane, it's a impact door. And I think that could be a good option as well.
This is the door that we typically approve administratively at this time, because it's difficult to get the recessed panel door. This is the door that we will administratively approve if it is selected. We don't like the raised panel door, or we don't recommend it because at the time of the structure, or at the time of the architecture of the style of architecture was being constructed, they would not have had access, because the mechanism to create the raised panel doors did not exist at that time. So yeah.
So to conclude, the proposed application is not consistent with the wood frame vernacular architectural style or with our design guidelines. So these are the potential options. Thank you.
And is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
We go.
Come on up.
All right.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's service, and I know that,
Sir, did you state your name and address for the record?
oh, sure, Dave Patel, I live at 6048 Eagle Pass Drive in Jupiter. Of course, the property address is where my son lives. So, now I can say that, when I went to buy my first house, it was in the fully hammock section, Fort Lauderdale. And it was a, Spanish section, but, the bulldozers arrived, and you have these beautiful, old houses. And you have the 2-story blocks with the styrofoam columns and things like that. So it's just kind of dreadful to see. So, I appreciate the work that everybody does, and I believe that. But before I undertook a lot of the improvements here, my contractor contacted people in the city. I've got emails and things like that. And he was told, you got to put in what you take out. So that's how we ended up. And we purchased this, I call it a flush panel, because as opposed to a raised panel. So anyway, it's been bought, and that's what we have. And maybe if I could clarify, are we talking about just the front door, or the front and the back door?
We're talking about all doors that you're proposing here.
Pardon?
All the doors that you're.
Yeah, it's a contributing structure.
Yeah.
Well, does everybody feel the running doors in the back, because you can't see it from the street or anything like that? So I'd like to think we're just talking about the front door. Like I said.
So the board does have additional discretion in the rear. That would be up to them. At a staff level, we can't approve this because it is not a recommended door for this architectural style. There's a lot of door types that work with this architectural style. There's French doors, there's half light, recessed panel doors. There's 5 or 6 types of doors that are appropriate. This is not one of those doors, which is why you're here. So they're the only ones. So we do offer flexibility, but with the door types, what we can do administratively, what we've been authorized to do is what's in the design guidelines.
Okay, well, the recessed panel door that you showed that was recommended, on the website for that, it's only available in an 8-foot height. So, but anyway, going back to, I just kind of came across the preservation guidelines. And I contacted and spoke with, I guess, Patricia at the board. She sent me all the historic records. So, and none of it had any indication as to what was in there to start with. So, I did what the guidelines called for. I got all the records. I tried to figure out what was in there. And, there was nothing specific. And the door that the contractor said that was the deal here is the same doors that are on the house now. And it's also the you know, so anyway. We're not trying to do anything new here.
Do we have any photos other than those? Do we have one in the back where it sits on the lot alleyway wise and all that?
Well, yeah, the number 10 is one in the back.
One on the back.
That's the back door.
Mhm.
Correct.
So this is the front door, this is. the front door?
This is the front door.
Here, that's the back door, which is the alleyway.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, there's also, you can see the fence, so even if you're
Right.
walking down the alley, you can't see.
You
the
can't
back
see the door. All right. Front door, I just went through with my house. Those type of doors are your standard big box store doors. You know, they're a couple $100 and whatever we bought. And I just had to buy one for mine. It was not that expensive. I got the 3-6 light to match the original door to my house, Spanish style. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not too concerned with the back door. Facing a fence in the alleyway. It's what we see from the street in the historic districts.
We have any pictures of the door that you bought that compared to the remodel that you're recommending?
So you can kind of see the 6 panel here. It's the same door in the back as the front. Here's the front door. It's a little washed out, but you can kind of
Oh.
see,
So it's your standard Home Depot. I mean.
yeah, it's
big
just,
box store.
Well, that's not, I mean, it's a fiberglass, it's
Right.
impact rated.
Right.
What I'm taking out are the metal ones that, are the, yeah,
ones that get
the
locked
cheapest
up.
thing
Yeah.
that you can possibly buy.
so this is the recess panel one that for people who want a solid door, it's in the Craftsman style because they don't make a lot of the 6 panel. This is a door, we met with a window company that Pro makes this door, and then what was the other manufacturer? Therma-Tru and Pro, both are manufacturers that have a door similar to this.
And they were the ones that clarified for us that this 3 panel craftsman that we have up there, that's the Pro door, and it does come below the 8 foot.
It just,
Basically the one I bought. with
right.
6 windows on top,
mhm.
and it was that thermal.
Therma-Tru.
Therma-Tru and Pro. So these are available on the market. Your contractor may not have, maybe his contract doesn't have accessibility, but we do know, and we have talked with local contractors that this is an available door.
Okay, the website said it wasn't, the other one's been purchased, so that's kind of why I'm here. But to say it's visually incompatible in the neighborhood, you walk the neighborhood, 40% of the doors are identical, another 20% are similar in terms of the 4 panels and some fancy light that didn't exist back then.
And our
So-
historic preservation board's been in existence since.
Later, and then sometimes we don't catch everybody, but we catch most people who replace their doors without a permit. We're catching more people now. Because we have more inspectors now who are looking for folks doing work without a permit. So that doors with leaded glass or doors with that configuration are not being replaced. We're not making people tear them out, but when they go to replace them, we're requiring them to be replaced with the door that's consistent with the guidelines. And like I said, staff doesn't have the flexibility for the rear door. That's something that you would have to grant if you were interested in that.
And that door's been purchased. That,
Oh, yeah, front and back and all
and
that.
I'm just, I don't have an issue with the back door. On that property. That's just my opinion.
No, I guess Andy pointed out a 6 panel or was the, with the glass panel, but it wasn't an impact rated door. And so, I mean, that's my only insistence, whatever, I mean, I don't care.
You can do a door that is not an impact door as long as you provide the proper panels.
And we confirmed with the group that we met with on Monday, the window and door company, they confirmed that Pro craftsman is an impact. It's not an HVAC, so it wouldn't work in Dade County, but it is an impact door. They just don't say that on the website for some reason.
It can't be used in like an upper story condo or on the waterfront. Most doors that you find are debris rated doors, not waterfront impact rated doors. It's a different rating.
Right.
So this is an appropriate door. They could also use a We allow frosting on the front door, so they could do a frosted 15 light single French door. There's a variety of door styles that are options.
Just give me a list and, you know, we'll look at them, because I mean, that's my only insistence in this thing. I mean, why would I put in a door that wasn't impact rated?
Yeah, I think you want impact to get the benefit for the insurance, right? You have to have everything impact in order to get the discount, right?
Yeah, the insurance, but there's different types of impact doors and different ratings. And there's like the most impact door, which is a different rating. And then that one is like, it's only, those doors are very expensive, the ones that are waterfront upper level condos. Most people I haven't seen the rating on the door that he's installed, but I don't even know if that door would meet that rating.
So you're saying that there are a number of doors that you can use?
Yes.
Well, if there are, then that's something that's new to me.
So I'll pull up the design guidelines for you on the webpage. Which one is the?
It should be
It should be a door that meets the Miami-Dade code. That's what you guys should insist goes, all the carpet should be hardened. I mean,
We can't do a point, but it does come down to money sometimes, the difference between the doors, if they have hurricane panels.
okay,
No, I understand what you're saying, sir, but I'm saying in certain situations when it comes to doors, and if they don't have the money and they're replacing the door and they have the hurricane panel.
What are we
for that
for?
hurricane, they can put a door that's not hurricane, you just have to provide the proper panel that are, yeah.
right, and that's good, but I mean, I'm right on to put up the panel.
Sure.
So you can see here, there on our historic website, it's going to take a minute to download, but there are design guidelines here. And then too, as board members, often included in your packet as an attachment will be the design guidelines. We'll reference the page in the staff report for the design guidelines for each architectural style. And within that subset, there are photographs of thank you.
No, that's good. Just give me a Miami-Dade impact, rated door, and I'll put it in.
So you can see, I know there are a lot of impact rated doors with the 15 light glass. You can also, the 4 light is a common configuration. It could be with a recessed panel, again, the full recessed panel, and then there's a variety of options. So these are the recessed panel. Again, these are the main options. And then we did we do allow frosted glass just in the front door and in the bathroom window now. So any of these doors. I mean, if there's consensus to allow the rear door to continue, then I don't know, I don't have a reading on the board, then I would recommend that a motion would be to allow the applicant to continue to use the rear door, but choose a maybe I'm misreading the board, but just offering some direction to choose a front door compatible with the one of the ones in the design guidelines. Or you could also make the motion that all the doors have to be compatible with the design guidelines, or you could make the motion in support of the applicant's request.
I'm okay with the exterior door being the door that you currently have. But I do think that the front door should be selected from one of the ones that are available.
I can make a motion like that. It's a half motion. Are you approving it or denying it?
So you would make a motion to approve the rear door, but deny the front door. So you would make it, that's what would be the motion.
Can I just ask, you said there was a list and those were those, are you referring to your design guidelines?
Yes.
Not a direct supplier list?
No, not a direct supplier
I think
list.
that's what you was trying to
You
get.
can't, those are great doors in the guidelines, but you can't go and buy it.
Yeah, so you can go and buy the 15 light French door. It's readily available and it is impact. And the alternate door that we showed is rated for a front door as well, the Plus Pro, and we have confirmation from folks who are dealers. So they can get those doors, folks can, and there are other doors and other configurations that meet Florida building code. if additional hardening beyond what the zone is required, there's always an option to do panels on top of the door if there's a wish for further hardening. They do make the French light doors. I believe the contractor we talked to said that they make those French glass doors in the highest rating. But those are, but the higher the rating, yeah, that like if you, that's for like a beachfront condo, you know, a glass door on the beach, that's the highest rating. So there's like different zones of wind protection in the Florida code. So if you're on an upper story on a beach on the ocean, that's going to be your highest level of protection. And then that goes, and then the required building code, and the Florida building code was updated in the early 2000s for compatibility with the Miami-Dade hurricane code. And so it's basically the same, it's basically the same code now.
I would say Miami-Dade is the gold standard. I don't want to buy anything unless it's Miami-Dade.
I got mine at the other, at the Blue Dot store. I'm allowed to see names low.
I went to Lowe's, they asked for recessed panels or like that. They said, we don't sell one. I went to Home Depot.
Yeah.
They said, we can have one custom made, it's a stamped steel. And, you know, that was that.
They do sell the Plus Pro at Lowe's.
Yeah,
You just have to get the right person there. They do
It's
sell that.
right over there too.
Mhm. And they sell the 15 light impact as well. They have to custom order it from the ordering section. It's not a door you can pull off the rack, but you have to order it for installation.
I'll put it in anything that's Miami-Dade.
Pass it through that.
And we have any further discussion on the board? Just that clear off that there is a comment. Yeah,
I move to approve half of HRPP project number 2200100250 with staff recommendation condition for certificate of appropriation for a door replacement of the back door for the property located at 432 North South Elm Street, based upon the competent substantial evidence of the staff report pursuant for the city of Lakewood Beach land development regulation and its floor preservation requirements, with the front door meeting the criteria of the historic preservation guidelines. Okay.
That was perfect.
Second.
All right, then the motion, here in a second. Everybody be free to say aye.
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 So basically, your back door that you bought already is fine. Just find one online or give them a call or staff a call tomorrow. And if you do find something online that meets the guidelines, just to me, I would just do a screenshot, send a picture. Is this okay? Go from there. That's just my opinion.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Well, make sure you have your mics on.
I don't know where.
You have to press the button.
Am I whispering? I'm sorry. How's that?
Wow, that's awesome.
All right. How you doing?
All right. Our next item is HRPB project number 21-001-00169. Consideration of certificate of appropriateness for a new attached undercar garage, a new two-story wood frame accessory building with covered patio for a building located at 315 North Ocean Breeze. Second property is contributing resource within the Old Lucerne Historic District and is located in a single-family residential zoning district. Determining designation as single-family residential, and they are also restoration of the historic waiver.
Awesome, thank you. Hi, my name is Annie Greening. I'm the Senior Preservation Planner with the Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation Division. So I just wanted to make a quick note. In some of the agendas, this was mislabeled for the number. This is actually HRPB project number 22-001-00169. So we just need to make sure we make the motion with the right number. So again, this is a COA for a new attached one-car garage and new two-story wood frame accessory building. And a historic waiver is required to allow the accessory structure to exceed 40% of the principal structure. Next slide, please. So here is our location map. The property is on the west side, North Ocean Breeze. Next slide, please. So here is our current existing home built in circa 1929 in the bungalow style. Again, it is a contributing structure. Next slide. This is the existing side elevation with the previous addition, and this will be the location of the proposed new garage. Next slide. And this is the existing backyard, which is the site for the potential construction of the new accessory structure. Next slide. We've got our proposed site plans here showing both the addition and the accessory structure. Next slide. And here we have a rendering from the southeast perspective, so you can see both of the buildings there. Next slide. And these are renderings from the front and the back, so you can see the accessory peeking over the front there, and then you can see it from the back. And these are from the north and south elevation showing both structures. Next slide. And we'll flip through these pretty quickly. These are just the elevations again in the line drawings. Next slide. We've got our floor plans showing both. Next. And here we have a detail of windows and doors. As conditioned, the exact windows and doors will be approved by staff at permit. Next slide, please. And so again, that historic waiver is required. All accessory structures are limited to 40% of the gross square feet of the primary structure. As proposed, we are sitting at 63%. So staff, next slide. Believe that this is a successful project complementing the existing architectural style. However, staff's remaining concern with the new accessory structure is the lattice roof balcony on the second story, as that is visible from the public right of way and contributes to the need for the historic waiver. Next slide. And within the guidelines for new construction and additions, again, staff do believe that this complements the existing structure and is visually compatible. Next slide. So again, in conclusion, staff recommends approval of the proposed exterior alterations, new construction and addition. However, we recommend the removal of that lattice roof balcony on the south end of the proposed accessory structure. And we ask for the board to consider whether or not a waiver is appropriate. Next. We've got our conditions of approval listed here. And next slide. There are potential motions with the correct number.
And I'll just add to Annie's presentation. In the single family district, accessory dwelling units are not permitted. So what is permitted are accessory structures. So accessory structures, the total structure can be 40% of the principal structure. So that includes any exterior porches, anything like that. That's all part of the principal structure. And just like the accessory structure, it's a whole for a whole. So the whole exterior, the whole principal and all the extras, and then the whole accessory is 40% of that total number. So that's why we're recommending the removal of that porch, because that leads to an open balcony and reduces that number down. So.
And I understand all that with a single family, zoning with a block that is very big. Yeah.
Well, that's for you all to discuss. So let's get to the applicant.
Question was going to be, is this a second unit?
No.
It is a shed.
I'll have the applicant come and give their presentation and they can talk more about the use. It's our understanding it's supposed to be a guest quarters.
Well, that's another unit.
It's an extension of the living space.
My name is Jeffrey Harris. Jeffrey Harris, principal of Hrpb Harris Architect, 215 Winona Place, West Palm Beach, Florida. This project is relatively simple. The back building is going to be strictly used as a pool house and essentially guest quarters, because again, as Aaron said, there's no allowance for an ADU on this property. It's just secondary bedroom and some entertaining space down below. One of the requirements that the client had was to have as much covered space as possible for entertaining by the pool, which is not included as part of this project right now. but they definitely intend on building one back. So the original design was a little bit larger than this with a saddlebag on the side, which was actually a roof structure on the south elevation. But Aaron said that was not allowed because of the amount of covered space there was. Now, I have been looking in the code, and I honestly can't find anything that says that uncovered exterior space is included as part of square footage of the house. Having said that, I'd like to point out that what's left, what I've left on this thing is two pieces. Maybe we could get a different drawing, an elevation that shows or perspective that shows the back pretty exclusively. Well, let's start with this one. The left-hand drawing shown here shows the building from the street in an idealized situation. In other words, this is a two-dimensional drawing. It's not drawn in perspective, it's drawn strictly as a flat two-dimensional elevation. There's no possible way that you'll actually see the building ever like that, unless you happen to stand. Well, your eyes just don't work that way. It would never, you could never see it like that. There's also another elevation. The other thing I want to mention before I get off of this is there are actually three enormous live oak trees. Two of them are on this property. One is on the adjacent property to the south in front of the two that are shown there. Those are shown for representational purposes only, but you saw the photographs of them from the site, and they're much fuller than these are even. So there's really, it's almost going to be impossible to see that lattice structure in the back. The lattice roof structure, again, is strictly for sunbathing off the master bedroom, the master bedroom, the bedroom above there, or just a little bit of shade structure down below to increase the area off the pool. I'd like to also conclude with the fact that all the footage that's over the maximum amount of maximum 40% allowable ratio is exterior space. There's no conditioned space involved with this at all. It's totally exterior space, and the two portions of it, the upper and lower part where that loggia are completely open way. There's no roof structure on the deck below, and there's no roof structure on the deck below. They're just a shading structure. Let's see, other than that, that's pretty much my presentation.
If memory serves me right, that's a Airbnb or rental property?
The owner's renting the entire piece of property right now.
Okay.
But it's not an Airbnb, it's just
It's a rental.
long-term rental.
So with this being a single family district, do we need to have a restriction on it? Indicating that it is going to be. I thought we had previous cases where there was a condition that stated that even though it was prohibited.
So then basically what they're stating is an extra bedroom to the main, detached bedroom to the main dwelling. There's no kitchen.
Did we not include that condition?
Right, but I'm just wondering if they keep it under.
No, you're right, Stephen. We should have included that condition. There was a condition that I thought that we carried forward. The one basically, and I'll read it into the record if it's something that you'd basically that it cannot, just a notification condition that it cannot be used as an Airbnb, and that the rear structure cannot be rented separately, and that it cannot be considered, and it cannot be considered an additional unit,
With no cooking. Well,
and it can't have any
do that if it's a cabana, you're gonna deny somebody a grill type.
No, they can have like an exterior grill or something like that, but you
no
can
cooking facility
within the structure, yeah. So
Instead of Airbnb, do you want to use something like general?
it was a short-term rental. It cannot be leased as a short-term rental until such time as the city authorizes short-term rentals. And that so it'd be, the first condition would be the subject property cannot be utilized as a short-term rental until such time as the city were to, if the city were to allow short-term rentals, and that the rear structure, the property shall not be used as a rental unit Here it is. I'll read it, these into the record. The property should not be used as a rental unit, including a short-term or vacation rental unless the city's land development regulations are amended to said use. And also that the rear accessory structure is not an additional, shall not be considered a dwelling unit.
You know, a lot of this too, I don't know, we're all in the same thing. We should try not to set a precedent. And it's not that anything, you know, this is not a inexpensive thing to partake. I've been pressing. They're not for the normal person working, you know, so we're not gonna see $100 pop up, but it's just, are we setting a precedent on certain things like this? Food for thought when I talk like that. Okay.
So we get the definition of the city's definition of square footage.
Yeah,
So
just-
really, what this comes down to is the definition of accessory structure, right? So this is an accessory structure. So accessory structures include things, it's basically a structure that is anything that would incur building lot coverage that does not is not open air. So something like a covered patio would be a structure, an accessory structure. A garage, a detached garage is an accessory structure. A shed is an accessory structure. So what we do is, to make it fair, is we count apples for apples. So the proposed project would still be over even if we didn't include the porches, because we wouldn't then be including the porches on the main structure. No matter how you slice it, project is over what the rules are. Okay, so, you know, there's a rear porch and a little front porch. So we counted the front and the little rear porch, you know, to maximize. And we also counted for the 40%, the proposed garage that's not constructed. So this is exceeding 40% of the existing structure and the garage that's not currently constructed. So.
Would you entertain us to show us the rendering to get to, just so we all have that kind of night. Talking about.
Can we also see the pictures after the series?
Sure. So we'll start there. Here's the.
Okay, so it's a front entry garage. You're looking to do it to the left of the, if I'm looking at the house. to the left.
That's right, south side of the.
So you'll come in from the front, like most of the neighbors have. Okay.
There's no pool there yet, right?
No.
The pool will be built at the same time, or?
Right now, given the economy, I can't say.
And there's no current plan for the front garage.
That's non-existent.
Oh, that's the.
Yeah, that's,
They're looking to
that's,
have the
a-
garage.
that's an addition, and the walkway from the garage to the kitchen entry on the side of the house. Non-existent.
You mentioned too in the staff report regarding the lattice. The lattice purple on the top,
We have a closer picture.
and that seemed to be sort of a factor that was a consideration.
Right. So one of the things we wanted to do is whenever you're looking to grant a waiver, you're looking to grant the least amount of waiver as possible. So we thought that was some easy square footage with the lattice to remove the roof, but would still give the applicant the utility. And that if they needed shade, that they could utilize an umbrella or something, you know.
So by removing the lattice, you can cut down a little bit of the cover. It's
Yeah.
No longer covered, right?
Right.
So instead of the 63%, it would be less.
And even though it's open, it still has a floor, so it's not open to the ground, which is what so they're kind of,
Sorry, if the lattice is removed.
I don't remember,
Each of
I should have had that.
Bays are roughly 8 by. In other words, the very end of the building is roughly an 8 by 8 square on 2 levels. No, not the center bay.
Okay.
The 2 on the end that are under discussion right now.
And the other reason is that this structure kind of sticks out behind the structure, behind the principal structure. So that was the other reason we thought that this might be something that could be sacrificed.
Yeah, I disagree. I mean, I'm just saying it doesn't stick out. You won't see it. If you look at just the photographs of the site, it's gonna be virtually invisible back there. It's transparent right now. And when you show the 2 photographs that show the live oak trees from the back and from the front, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, granted, the trees could come down, they could fall over and out, then you'd see it, but as it currently stands, it really is.
I mean, a similar example would be on the corner of, is it Fifth Court? Fifth Court. Where you have the house in the front and the two-story structure in the back, you don't see.
Fifth and now.
Fifth and Ocean Street, right?
I don't know, the way that I look at building coverage is like, I kind of equate it, maybe I shouldn't equate it, but I kind of have it analogous to impervious and actual coverage of the property. So I don't really consider that a lattice structure is creating an impervious area.
So the project or the 63% in question is not building coverage or impervious, it's just the percentage of the accessory structure as compared to the percentage of the primary structure.
As in its entirety.
Yes, so the coverage and impervious is not what we're questioning here.
Okay.
It's just the entirety.
It's
of
a
the
vol,
structure,
yeah, it's the volume of the structure. And I just want to go back and talk about the waiver. We've had some waivers before, and because I know we have some new board members, and the concept of a waiver for the accessory structure, the philosophy was that you were protecting more of the principal structure, you were preserving the original intent of the original structure by allowing the additional living space to occur in the accessory structure. So that's part of your findings, if you would be for the waiver, is that when you all have considered waivers, is that this is in lieu of an addition. So that you would need to determine, is this protecting the principal structure, or could this, because this becomes a non-issue if this is attached.
Correct.
So if this is an attached addition, this could meet all of our land development requirements. And so that's something to discuss as well, because that's the purpose of the waiver. The only reason this is eligible for a waiver is because it's a contributing property, and waivers are intended to facilitate the protection of the original historic structure. And that's where the granting of previous waivers has occurred. So that's kind of your foundation of your determination of does this qualify? And then how much is okay?
Like I recall in the one case we had, one of the cases we had where considering that it was called a customary off, it was a significant square footage that we needed to legally. Like you were saying, it was to create living space.
And it was a 25-foot lot, that one.
That
Yeah.
one, yeah, that was the 20.
Little pink house, yeah.
Mhm,
And
that
that
was
was
on the
create
L
living
Street.
space to make the property livable. I think that the principal structure was maybe 400 or 500 square feet or something. Right. In this particular case, it's a little bit more like what we are considering for a waiver is like an amenity area, as opposed to creating a livable area. And I realize it creates quality of living and that type of thing, but I don't think decreasing the amount of square footage is going to increase the amount of amenity space that's available on that property significantly enough to create a precedent like this, that we would disallow the square footage like that.
Well,
What's the number of bedrooms of the main unit?
They're two.
2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, or
No, it's one back.
the main unit is 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom?
That's a
And the
four-foot.
back unit would be, I guess, another bathroom,
It's a bedroom and a
a
bathroom.
bedroom and a
upstairs,
bathroom.
and a big entertaining room.
Right.
What's the square footage of that? Is that the footprint of that?
Yeah, it's 500. I think it was.
No, we can't see here. Sorry.
Here
Here we go.
we go.
It doesn't really, I'm sorry, Jeff.
That's it.
That
So,
This is
Yeah.
the back. Here's the living space. This is the bottom floor.
Like a 24 square kind of thing.
yeah, it's not that, but the actual building back in
20 by,
555 square feet.
yeah, I think it's 20 by 27 or something.
Right.
Okay, so you're just looking at a game room with a set of stairs up to a bedroom in the back.
That's right. That's right. There's a little half back down below, under the stairs. For the-
Yeah,
for the
okay.
employees.
Oh, yeah.
The only other way to attach this would to bring this closer to the principal structure, and then you could have kind of a structure like this. We've seen them attached with breezeways,
Right.
where they're tied into the roof line and tied into, and then they become de facto part, they become part of the principal structure. So, they would just have to meet.
Right. Because we gotta, in fact, right now, I mean, the thing is set back even, I think. Yeah, it's set back on the accessory building setback, which is only 5 feet. I believe that.
But that hatched area is a pretty significant percentage of the square footage that whole area.
Which actually.
This, the L-shaped hatched area is where.
Oh, right,
looking
okay.
for the,
Right. Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that well, it says it's 63%, it's 63 as opposed to 40%. We're asking for a 23% waiver. And, you know, in reality, I think that's only a couple hundred square feet total.
I can pull it for you.
Here, I think that would be. If we have a lot of properties in this district that are around that size, so it would be. That consideration will be the same for a lot of buildings.
It's about a little over 300 square feet.
So, and that's inclusive of the roof thing.
The balconies, yes, as well.
For me, I think that we have to be prudent in how we roll out. We can say that too tritely, but how we roll out waivers.
No, I just understand that variances.
So I totally agree with how we did it in the previous case that I talked about, but I don't know if we have I don't know if we have it to just give it.
Well, so having said that, then. We would request a waiver then reduced with on the elimination of those two areas. And the waiver then would be, I think, like 100 square feet or something,
Which one you wanna,
a little more.
sorry, Jeff, what, let's go back, which areas? So we are all on the same page. Hold on.
So the plan then. If you can go to the plan, that's the next one.
Should I go to the big rendering? This
No.
one?
Well, you could.
Forward.
The floor plan right now.
Oh, the floor plan. Okay.
This is what
So-
we're talking about.
Right, but right in front of that, yeah, if you just forget about the piece to the left, the L-shaped piece to the left is totally uncovered, that's just. The actual, no, the piece of the hatch here,
Oh, okay, all right.
the hatched area in front of that, that runs the full length of the building and sticks out 8 feet to the south. That's the area that we're talking about, it's under.
That faces the pool.
The area that I'd like to ask for the waiver, if we're gonna shoot down and play with the two little pods, is the front deck on the upper level,
This one here?
and then space in between the other. So in other words, it's the width of the width of the.
Now you have to go back to the picture, it shows.
Now you can see it in all.
Okay, so do you want the whole front deck here? What about this little piece here? Or do you want
Well, that's
this? On?
next year. It's not-
That's
Oh, that's a concrete pad. Okay, so you just would want the removal of the front deck. Oh, it was
But only-
previous.
which would calculate it into. Closer to the 40%.
Mhm.
So we're just talking of taking off that, I think you said it was 8 by 8, that little square that goes beyond the
Yeah.
outside wall.
One with the render,
Correct.
This area right.
Here, this,
that, yeah.
This area right here.
right here?
Right here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what is the square footage on that, Jeff? Could you ballpark it for us?
Each level is 64 square feet.
Okay,
8 by 8. So it'd be 100 and
so that would reduce the waiver,
below that, 130 square feet.
130, so.
And just a quick question with that, Jeff, we just pulled up here, one of the renderings, and that little concrete pad on the far side also is covered on the, at least in this rendering,
Yeah, those are the old ones.
Okay.
I resubmitted something.
Perfect. That's what I thought I remembered, but I wanted to clarify. Awesome.
Yeah, in fact, those drawings, that you had up a second ago from the old set, I had resubmitted a new set that didn't have them covered. So I'm asking for a waiver, basically for the covered porch in front of the
Basically what's.
that's right, exactly.
It would be about 222 square feet.
That's what we're waiving.
Yeah.
No, we're actually waiving less than that.
That's less than that.
Because the total amount available for the waiver is what, again? It's
Okay, so the total amount available is 613 square feet.
right, we're using 555.
What's left is 555.
No, I'm saying the actual building, the building under air is 554 square feet.
Okay,
And there's 600, whatever you just said, available. So whatever the difference in that is,
but did you still want you wanted still to have the carport though, right? The covered carport. Or no, did we get rid of it? No, we got rid of the carport. Okay. All right. So just the 550 square feet under air, right?
Then you wouldn't need a waiver then, because you're allowed.
well, I do need a waiver. I need a small, I need a small one. It's,
Yeah,
No, because we calculated with all of your porches and the garage, we calculated there was 1,532 square feet. So you have 612, basically 613 square feet to play with.
Would that fit
He's
the
saying
boundary
I'm
with-
saying,
would it meet the?
then it meets it.
you know,
now.
there's slightly over that. I have 613 square feet available and 40% of the front house.
Right.
The back house, just the area under there is 555 square feet. So that's 45 plus 13 is 58 square feet. The porch itself back there is 8 by,
8 by 8 twice, right?
it's 8 by. It's 8 by 4. It's 8 by 14. The building is only 14.
Right.
So it's 8 by 14. It's 80 plus 20 plus 30, 112 square feet.
Yeah,
So it's, yeah.
so we're talking. a
So we're
very small
talking about
amount.
100 square, roughly 100 plus square feet.
But we're moving that little side thing.
That's right, yeah.
So why don't we talk in terms of,
You've got calculator.
and set, you know what, let's, instead of talking in terms of exact numbers in case we're wrong,
Right.
let's talk in terms of reducing down visually what it would look like, and is that visually compatible? And we will get the exact number at permit down.
That's there, but we could do it that way, you know,
It's
Yeah.
better if we do, but we're in the ballpark, so we can say approximately a waiver to facilitate, because we know that the existing waiver it would be less than the proposed waiver with the removal of the two structure or removal of the porch structures. So Jeff, you're proposing to remove, basically just cut this here. And so the carport was removed and basically just cut the forward porches, right?
No,
No,
Just the
No, I'm
part
talking
that's
about-
not
Oh.
under the gable.
I'm just talking about.
This part here, the side porches.
yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so to keep the front porches and then cut the side
Right.
porches,
so
okay,
just what you have to stay in square.
would remain.
Right.
Only the
Yeah,
porch under the gable would
Because
remain.
here's the situation, if we just went with the porch the way it is, to fit exactly in the 650, which obviously you do.
Right.
You'd have a usable porch that's only about 5 feet wide.
Yeah, a little condo porch.
For 4 people.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, because these people want to use it for
You
entertainment.
can, like you said, you can still have umbrellas and.
But that's not the same thing, I'm asking for a waiver to gain 3 feet essentially, from the 5 feet. I mean,
Right.
You gain 3 feet on 2 of it.
I think,
Yeah, I mean, I can support that portion of it. Being able to gain on it, so it's like a piece of.
Right, you're staying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed, obviously, because the tower isn't there. I think that little tower piece is actually pretty interesting, and it makes the building more than just a long, it's in the back, it makes it more than just a little, little bungalow. It gives it more architectural interest.
I would just remind whoever's making the motion that the two additional conditions of approval, if you could state that the two additional conditions of approval related to the rental of the rear structure would be, that were read into the record, would be included in your motion.
And please use 22 and not 21 when you start the motion.
Okay, do we have any further discussion? No? And do we have any public comments or? All right, do we have a vote?
No,
Okay, that
All
was-
no problem.
The experience, guys.
They all could do it,
Where's Guthrie when you need him?
right?
On vacation.
Okay, I move to approve HRPD project number 22-00100169 with staff recommendations and conditions for a certificate of appropriate for a new attached one-car garage, a new two-story frame accessory building with a covered patio to the property located at 315 North Ocean Breeze, based upon the competent substantial evidence in the staff report and pursuant to the City of Lakewood land development regulations and historic preservation requirements, with the added conditions that were read into pertaining to rentals, and that the side porch of the rear structure,
The upper and lower
upper
level
and lower portions of the porches
are removed.
are removed.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Hearing a motion in a second. Everybody who agrees, say aye.
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 No nays. Pass unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good seeing you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you.
Our third and it's like last. New business, not new business, but item B. HRPB project number 22-00100258, consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for a new attached accessory structure in the two-car garage and additional living space on the second floor of the property located at 4778 Street. The property is contributing resources of the Southeast Historic District. Property is located in the single-family residential zoning district, future land use of medium density residential. And I was asking for a historic waiver as well. Okay, this one's asking for historic waiver as well.
Starting first. It's no problem.
Okay, hello again. Again, my name is Annie Greening. I'm the Senior Preservation Planner with the Division of Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation for the city. And so again, this is a COA for a new detached accessory structure with a two-car garage and additional living space. And a historic waiver is once again required to exceed 40% of the principal structure. Next slide. So here is our location map. Next. So our current lot, we've got the existing residential structure built circa 1925 in the Mediterranean/Mission Revival style. And this is a contributing structure in the Southeast Lucerne Historic District. Next slide. So this is a previous garage structure built circa 1961. This was condemned by the city on May 31st and will be demolished to facilitate the new construction. Next. So this is the existing and proposed site plan. Next. And here is renderings of all the elevations of the proposed accessory structure. You can see both the garage and the upper entrance. Next slide. And here are our proposed floor plans. So as we mentioned, this does have living space on the second floor. This is not an accessory dwelling unit, but is like a mother-in-law suite. So it does have a small sink and living area and a bathroom. Next. So again, we do need a waiver. This time it is for 41.8% for that accessory structure. And additionally, staff has conditioned that the setback, the side setback must be increased to 10 feet, and the applicant has agreed to that condition. Next slide. So for our design guidelines analysis, staff does believe that this is successful and complements the existing architectural style in its materials, its form, its detailing. It is consistent with the original structure's architecture. Next. And again, we have our guidelines for new construction, and once again, staff does believe that this is complementing the existing significance and is visually compatible with the features of the existing structure and surrounding neighborhood. Next slide. So again, staff recommends approval of the proposed new construction, including the condition that the side setback be increased to 10 feet. However, we recommend that the Hrpb discuss the proposed accessory structure and whether or not it is contextually appropriate to receive a waiver for that 40%.
It's 1.8%,
Yes, sorry, 1.8% over that 40%.
which is 43 square feet.
Yeah. 43 square feet is what we're talking about here.
We got it.
So you've got our conditions for approval, and we do have condition number 10, that the property shall not be used as rental units. We do have that in already. And we've got our last 5 with the potential motions.
Have a presentation, yeah.
I'm the contractor, and also the owner is, she's on the Zoom.
I have a question for you, Scott.
Mhm.
Why?
I'm
increase-
sorry, were you sworn in when you arrived?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, sir.
Swearing for testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so say yes.
Yes.
State your name and address.
Alexander Vianney, the address is 427 SK Street.
Okay. And your address?
My address is 211 Second Court, Travis Square. Yeah, no problem.
Question, why the increase in setback?
It's a 2-story structure, so they went with the original 5-foot setback, but 2-story accessory structures need a 10-foot set from the side. So it's a code requirement.
Is that-
So they didn't meet the code requirement if they had their plans. All they have to do is just move it 5. So we didn't want to make them redraw before.
And it's already been approved for demolition of the garage.
Yes.
So what if we don't approve this, they not the garage then?
Then they won't have a garage.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, we're just doing the 2-story with the living space on top and the garage on the bottom. It's a 2-car garage. As she said, it meets all the criteria except for the one, I think it's 1.3% over in the square footage, 43 square feet. Is the only issue. And
Other than that, you meet all the other requirements. So we're here to discuss 43 square feet.
yes, sir.
Well, and you have to approve its new construction. So you have to make sure you're finding that the new construction is appropriate.
Well, it looks it. You have a very interesting eclectic block over there when it comes to architecture and single family, multi-family again over there. They do have a restriction on the rental. I should thought that.
Just be clear about it, there's 43 square feet, the 43 square feet basically is because of the little balcony on the side and covered stair.
Because of the cover stair, rather than putting,
So it's not.
right. Rather than putting inside and using the square footage. Which most of them have that out on the outside, if you have that little.
Yeah.
Apartment on the second. Yeah, they have those, those are awesome.
So you're not fumbling with your keys in the rain. No.
Could we see the renderings again of the outside? In case you want to, throw a comment in or something, window.
The world's your oyster, you know?
Steve might be mad about something.
So this is forward, this is facing the front of the lot.
Right.
This is the alley exposure. This is the closest side property line.
Do the windows and doors get, approved later on, like the style of them? Or is
Yeah.
that- oh,
Yes, so that's, let's see, condition number 5 is that doors and windows will be approved by staff at permitting.
But as you can see, some of them are we don't have the exact details, but if there is something that is displayed here that you don't want to see, like, for example, they do have a 6/1 and then single hungs. If you would like to see all single hungs, or all, you can't really do 6/1 because the windows are too small, but maybe,
Right.
a different,
The dividing light pattern,
Mhm. I would do, if you want to change that, I would do a 3/1 and then a 2/1 for the smallers with the light patterns being linear. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nothing converts to jet windows, doors, anything.
Yeah, I mean, we did put in for windows, because it's a long lead item. But,
Right. Now, why, I'm just asking because I'm filtering.
Yes, sir.
Members past, there's just a lot of blank wall.
yeah,
And I'm just saying, but seriously, window.
yeah, I mean, we
is
can
there a
definitely
reason?
add.
Okay, I'm just asking, is there a reason?
I would think maybe because of the interior space, if the bathroom is there, or a vanity, or let's see here where that big space is. I think that's where like maybe a TV would go, or a couch, or something
And that's
like that.
understandable, because
Yeah.
people don't realize it looks big, it's not.
Right, yeah, it's only a few feet.
And that is the alleyway side, it is a structure that you're really not gonna see from the street. So this is something
I can
that,
see the nice little part.
Right.
Front there.
right,
Yeah, it's completely
So-
invisible in the screen.
well, yeah, I mean, basically, if you look up their driveway, you're gonna see that. And you don't wanna. put
I
a
think
window
to your
over
point
there.
though, Bob, it would make sense with a rhythm of this style of building to maybe have a second window on the back.
Even if it's a faux. just
Yeah.
Something to reference it, I'd say
Because
that-
our guidelines do call for mitigation of blank spaces, like we want to watch that. And historically, this would have had more windows, so maybe a second window or a faux window. And then perhaps, again, because this has two openings here, maybe two openings on the south and the eastern exposure window.
Could you just pull up the floor plan, please? Just so I can show you where basically where the blank spaces are. So yeah, if you see that, that's the bedroom. So that's where like a bed would go. And then also where the living room, the other blank spaces.
That window on the right wall, where is that? window?
Yeah, it's-
One window wall.
That's the front that you're,
Mhm.
Right.
This is the garage side, so this would, this has a,
But it has one window.
yeah, that would have been in the bathroom, so they could easily have a second window here into the sitting area. And so they could have a second window in the bedroom as well.
I'm okay with the one in the bedroom, the problem with the sitting room, like you said, we're gonna hang your TV.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my TV in front of my window, so I live in an old house.
Mine's
That's what you
do.
Right.
But I mean, would, something like either a faux, I don't like faux windows, because I don't care they look faux. I've seen where they put the Bahama shutters on something like that.
Well,
where
no,
it's on the
no,
door.
no Bahama shutters, though.
In that era,
I mean,
No.
You'd want to maybe build in the electrical with the TV and that wall, right?
right,
But the TV could go in the wall that's adjacent to the front door. There's plenty of space there. And to preserve the historic appearance over, I guess, that.
now this elevation is facing where, that's facing the neighbor's house. I mean, you're just on the
I
side,
think that's facing I think that's the house, the resident.
right next door. That's
think
the
that
only
one
real
is
one I have an
yeah.
issue with. And that's your bathroom window, so realistically, you're looking, if you're gonna match it, you're looking at a little window.
Yeah, if we wanted to, another consideration, if you didn't want to require another window, you could do a shutter on
Right.
either side and then do a closed shutter on that side, which would be a faux shutter. It wouldn't be, they never look as nice. You would have to kind of almost recess the window. They would have to have the, we'd have to require the sill detail with the faux shutter. But it looks better. I mean, it's not,
Yeah, I mean, it is the rear, I'm
Yeah,
personally
in the
okay with it. But, I don't know.
I mean, one faces the neighbor's house, which nobody's gonna see, and one faces the alleyway, so,
I think the front is nice and balanced with the window and the.
Yeah.
I think probably this faces a neighbor, so maybe this a window here. As this is an alley,
Right,
and then have the paired windows on the side.
so we were looking for one window.
In the bedroom.
If you, yeah, if you, that's to address your comment, I would say I would at least.
Yeah, I mean, you know, ideally, we were thinking that the bed would go on that wall. Yes, sir. And then, I mean, you'd have you know, the bed and then the window right above the bed,
It's pretty common.
is it?
Yeah,
I've never done- okay.
it's very common.
Your TV's in front of the window.
Yeah, but I mean, dude.
My bed's in front of a window too, so there you go.
Buildings, yeah, but I mean, whatever, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the only thing we have to do.
It looks good,
Okay,
and we don't have an issue with that little 40, whatever.
the 40 square feet, yeah.
So we can work with the applicant administratively to add the window in, so.
Balance something out,
Mhm.
because I mean, realistically, if you're looking at bathroom site, bathroom windows too small, you're not gonna put another window, look like two little portholes.
Right.
You know?
Did you want to do
That-
paired shutters on the back with one looking closed, or do you want to just leave it plain? It would have most likely been plain, but there are some examples, most likely it would have typically not had shutters,
It's not
maybe
that big
storm
of-
shutters.
It's not that big of a stance, the expanse that, you know, it visualizing half of a garage without a window, it's not a lot of space.
Okay.
I don't think I'd walk down the alleyway and go,
I think it almost applies to have it, put a shutter on it. Yeah.
Could you go back to the floor plan one more time? Yeah, so that the window that I think we're talking about is next to the bathroom window is on that same wall.
Yes.
Okay, so it'd be a bathroom window, it'd be the same size.
It might be bigger. You might want it a little bigger, but
Okay.
we would work that out administratively for what
Okay,
would look
sure.
good.
All right, no problem.
And you would want it to make sense too, so that the
Maybe do it the
space
same
wasn't,
size as the other window.
yeah, it might
Yeah,
be,
Okay,
because
I
it,
didn't know if you're supposed to do it the same, you know.
no, they can be different, but
Okay.
just in the same plane, I think
Great.
would be nice.
All right, no problem.
Further discussion?
what, God.
You want me to read?
You can do it. You can do it.
I was just wondering, any public comments?
So wait, but we.
Oh, yeah,
have
you have to ask for
the-
public comment.
the,
Ask-
uh,
you need to ask-
modification Of the window and sheets.
You need to ask for public, hold on, you have to ask for public.
So I'd say it's public comment.
We have no public comments. I move to approve HRPB project number 22-00100258 with staff recommended conditions for certificate of appropriateness COA for a new detached accessory structure with a 2-car garage and additional living space on the second floor at the property located at 427 South K Street, based upon the complete competent substantial evidence in the staff report and pursuant to the City of Lake Worth Beach land development regulations and historic preservation requirements, with the addition of the window on the second floor of the, that would be
In the bedroom window.
the bedroom window. Yeah.
Second,
All right, hearing motion and having a second. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Bye.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, did the seller want to talk? She was on Zoom, right?
I think she's good.
She wasn't able to make it, something happened, she didn't.
Yeah, she's has business, yeah, has to make the money to pay for it.
There you go. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Here's another hearing items, and now we're on to the planning issues.
No, we have some, how's that work?
Mhm.
No. Which that is going.
We do, all right, so the first item is a conceptual review. Annie's going to go ahead and do a quick presentation just to give an overview, and then we have the applicant's representative, Wes Blackman, here to provide a longer presentation. We're just kind of giving you an overview. So just so you know, the two new members, the conceptual review are non-binding. You're just getting some information. They're looking for feedback from you because when they come back with a more formalized plan and they're going to spend money on plans and drawings, they want a sense of direction from the board.
We've had people come back 3 times with conceptual.
Okay, hi again. I'm Annie Greening, Senior Preservation Planner with the Division of Planning, Zoning, and Historic Preservation. So we are doing a conceptual review for potential new construction at 338 Cornell Drive. This is a contributing resource within the College Park National and Local Historic District. It is in the single family zoning district, and future land use is single family. The next, we've got our location map. And next again, please. So this is our existing structure built circa 1925 in the Mission Mediterranean Revival style. And this is a contributing structure again in the National District. Just another photo there. And then next. So we wanted to bring up the LDRs for demolition in the National Register District. A certificate of appropriateness is required even when the city condemns a structure, and per our COA approval matrix, the board has to approve that demolition. So we don't have the demolition application yet, but that's something to consider, is that you all will have to approve this demolition, even though it's been condemned by the city.
Okay, so the city has condemned it.
That's correct. It was condemned on May 31st. Yeah.
So Wes, if you want to kind of pop up, oops. Am I not doing it wrong? Which one? Hold on a second.
Good evening,
Okay.
Wes Blackman, certified urban planner. And I used to be chair of the board for a while. So welcome new members, and the commitment that represents, it's really important. And it's a shame that the 2 new members that live in College Park can't be here tonight, because this is in College Park, which is a very special place.
Okay. Okay.
This is a brief presentation I put together just to kind of frame the situation that we find ourselves in and what has taken place since the property owner bought the property. I'm here representing Emerald Isle Home Builders, Patrick Buckley and Ina Pierce. And they're watching from Chicago. They had difficulty making transportation connections, and there was a close time to die. So that was complicated for them, or they would have been here. So this is an aerial from the supervisor of not the supervisor of elections website, it's the property appraiser's website. And you can see that this particular property is snug in the corner on the edge of Cornell Drive and the alley. It's adjacent to the commercial zone property along the east side of Dixie Highway. It was built in 1925. You can go to the next slide there. Go back to the map.
Oh, sorry.
That's from the original designation report for the College Park Historic District. And this was one of the first historic districts so designated in the city. And also, I think the first National Historic District or the National Register Historic District. What's unique about College Park, most of the city was platted in 1912 and 1913, which is when the city was formed in 1913. And the lots are usually 135 feet long by 25 or 50 foot wide, you know, in the most part, especially south of 13th Avenue North. But here in just a matter of 12 years, you see an east-west configuration of the roads, shallower lot depth, no alley, and everything is a drive. And why were they calling it a drive? Because of the dominance of the automobile, just in that short period of time compared to the original plan. So that's what's unique about College Park. And you also see the orientation for the most part of the buildings is on an east-west axis instead of a north-south axis. So this particular property was four platted 25-foot wide lots. When the previous owner bought it, they bought it as separate lots and combined the two. So there were two 50-foot wide lots from the existing 25. And the new owner, Emerald Isle Home Builders, has gone back and re-recorded those two lots. So they are conforming with the zoning district now, and that was done in August. Next. It's easier to do a PDF sometimes than on PowerPoint, just in terms of size. But this will give you an idea of the streetscape in the area. This is the alley and the commercial structure. That's a liquor store that used to have a drive-through window that was successfully removed. And Jamie Foreman, one of the new members of the board, actually lives across from this house. Next. And that would be Jamie's view looking north. Next. That's the house immediately to the south. That's a single family structure, single story. And next. And the same, and then you see some 1-2-story houses, and there are some 2-story houses on Cornell Drive in this 300 block. Next. So this is the head-on view. It is a heavily wooded lot. Dave McGrew has been to the property. He's identified trees that can be saved or relocated. There is a very large banyan tree in the northwest corner that has been part of our consideration in preparing the plans. We've been working on the plans, and the architect is here, Stephen Morales, and he can ask or answer any questions or provide additional information regarding his plans. They've been working up to the last minute. So what is in your backup really is just for the east lot proposal. And we have more of a fleshed out proposal, and we only have a choice, and would like to enter a dialogue with you tonight about that choice. So we do have a mission revival structure from 1925, so it would be one of the first in College Park. Unfortunately, for the last 7 years, it was vacant. And it's a frame stucco and with a flat roof. And the combination of that, its age, and our South Florida environment have not been kind to it. And one of the first considerations, the new property owner was planned on rehabilitating the structure. And they brought in a forensic structural engineer who prepared a report, Alltech engineering. And they concluded that it was indeed beyond repair and an unsafe structure. And you can see some of the pictures I just pulled out of the report. We'll submit that with the entire application, the report. And then later on, next please. Peter Ringel put together a letter based on Mike McCarroll's visit to the property that he agreed with the findings in the report and then did condemn the property. So then we looked at alternatives for new construction on these new two created lots. And as pointed out by staff, these are the sections of the code that deal with historic preservation related to demolition by public agencies and condemnation. And if this were not a National Register historic district, you would get notified and not have to issue a certificate of appropriateness for its demolition because it is a contributing structure within a National Register historic district. We do need a specific COA for demolition for this particular building. And those are the two deeds that were recorded for the pre-existing lots, the 25-foot wide lots. So these are two lots now that meet the SFR requirements. And this is a survey just showing the east lot. And we have the site plan, and this would be a two-story building. You really can't see it there, but there are the calculations that indicate that it meets the SFR zoning requirements, and Stephen can elaborate more on that. The architect next, please. And that's the floor plan, which doesn't tell you much, but this is perspective that gives you a sense. The inspiration here is streamlined modern. You can see the eyebrows. You also see a second floor porch with a railing. And this would be the east lot, and that porch would be facing the west. And next slide, please. And here's kind of a top-down view of that, which no one would see, of course, but it does give you a size of the structure. And it really does, belong to this age too. It looks fairly contemporary and it's simple. And that was the object here. Now, what we're trying to attempt here is, if you go to the next one. This is a mirror image of what will be on the east lot. And there is precedent for that within the College Park Historic District, and there's a picture to that effect. So this is just a mirrored plan of what would be on the east lot in the same style. Next, please. And then the porches would face each other, which is, I think, makes for good neighbors.
Or, well, I don't know.
So, and then the next. And then we have a streetscape here, which is interesting. The top is further back. Again, this is a mythic view. You would never see the street this way, but it does show what is adjacent to it. And the commercial on Dixie Highway. The lower image has a closer up view of the two structures in the modern design, and they do bookend themselves nicely. And that would be the preferred choice. If you go to the next slide, that's on Princeton. This is the Dutch colonial twin that we have in the historic district now. There's also precedent for that in the South Palm Park Historic District along South Lakeside. There is a twin-like property, so it's not without its precedent in a historic district.
No.
And these are the Secretary of Interior standards related to new construction, and that the design of a building should be representative of its time and not try and recreate a false sense of history. So it does take inspiration from the streamlined modern style, so it's consistent with the historic district design guidelines. But it is definitely a contemporary structure. Next. So this is an alternative for the western lot, which honors the legacy of the existing building in more of a mission revival style, which is still a very simplistic style when you think of it. You're dealing essentially with the same form, but a little bit different detailing. Next, please. And again, that's kind of hard to see it. The most revealing is the next two slides here with the render.
Okay, so that would be the west lot and the east lot would stay the modern.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
And it still has an outdoor porch, and the outdoor porch here would be under that tree that I identified before that's in the northwest
so you're
corner.
going to attempt to save the big man.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, a lot of those two-story Spanish,
Yeah.
yeah.
And by the way, the garage by the Big Banyan is essentially falling down on its own right now. So, yeah, there's not much left of the garage. So these are the two alternatives, and we had a pre-application meeting on June 10th, and we met with Patricia and Aaron, and we talked about this, and they thought that there might be an issue with the mirrored image, but that is the preference of the builder and the property owner. But we'd like to hear what you have to say. So thank you.
And I will just note that it is in the design guidelines that look-alike buildings are not permitted. So that was staff's concern with that. And the other thing that we mentioned to the applicant, which they were not interested in pursuing, is we do have our preferred method for when a contributing structure is demolished. There is an option in our guidelines for reconstruction of the historic structure. And so we had mentioned that, but that was not of interest to the applicant. So the two options were the two lookalike buildings and the contemporary take on modern style, and then the contemporary take on the MedRev and or a mission, and the modern that you see here.
Right.
So.
Do you have anything more than that slide on the mission revival and the one they're together as a rendering?
Just on the streetscape right now, we do have the elevations for the mission revival. Stephen, do you want to add anything about this?
Good evening, architect Steven Morales plus, 4229 Southwest, 74th Avenue in Dayton. No, basically, we really did study a lot of what is in context. We obviously from the very beginning, tried to keep it in the building, and try to respect, all its properties, and basically that's why we were proposing to have this other option as well, right? Basically, bringing some of the features back with the mission revival and having the return. I mean, at the end of the day, there is going to be in the building next to it, and we just want to pair something that's going to be,
I personally like the second option. I think it looks really nice. Looking.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the two houses alike on North Lakeside on Karen's old house. And it's, the
Yeah, it
1500
looks like
blocks.
townhouse style, right?
Yeah, and
I know, every time I go by there, it's like, oh, I feel like it's.
I really like option number two, personally also. Twin houses, and you're right, Ms. Blackman, there are here and there. I remember when we first moved here, the blue window house, we used to call it, the two circles on South Lakeside, those are sister houses. Those are really cool. But I prefer number two.
if it is twin houses, basically we want to do something that's really compatible.
Right.
They're exactly same, but try to give a balance themselves. So that would kind of make sense.
Wait, in terms of the existing building, we are doing the documentation of the building in relation to a site for the exterior and also for the interior, and doing a key drawing to the photographs. So that is being done, and that was requested by staff.
Yeah, for National Registry, right?
Yeah.
History.
I mean, we are very concerned about this because there are different conditions, and this is, again, one of the reasons why we had mentioned reconstruction is because there's going to be a point when some of these homes may or may not be viable for reconstruction in the zone. And then, then we're going to lose the character of the National District. So it's just something to be very careful with, because this is, if you need more time or you want them to come back or you want to think about it, and look at the design guidelines a little more, but it's a serious thing. I mean, the structure is condemned, so it either needs to be reconstructed or replaced. And we don't allow a condemnation order to go forward without a substitute, without a substitute application. So it's a very, very serious question, and it leads to what is the future of the district.
I'm not as tied to the reconstruction as long as what is put back there fits the district. It keeps the continuity of the district, and that's one of the reasons why I think I'd be more likely to support the second option. The first option is the twin buildings. I can see the point of why you're trying to do that, but I don't know if it's appropriate in this particular district. And I think that with College Park being such a unique and special district in the city and having a very unique character, that it would be a lot just in something, but these two large, they're relatively substantial buildings and in on the block and have them looking exactly the same. I think it would be a start difference from what's there now. So I would be more prone to seeing the second option and having something that balances it out and softens the impact on what's happening on the street.
In terms of scale and size, both options are actually the same square footage, same volume. It's just articulated.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm noticing on those that, I also agree that the second option is probably the one that's gonna fit better, but I also think I'm seeing them, like side by side. I still think that there's like a lot of similarity between the two. It just kind of has a slightly different, like detailing on the style. So I would, recommend maybe working on making those look even more like, if you're gonna go for the like modern style, make that really look different from the second one. So it doesn't still read as like the twin houses, just with like a slightly different roof detail.
And to your point, our design guidelines require that whatever architectural style you select, that you lean into that style. So if you're going to go with a mission style, you need to lean into the mission style. And if you're going to go with a contemporary or modern style, you lean into that style.
We put this slide up that has, this is. Yeah, the large one. So yeah, for the mission revival, definitely we use the dog ears, the arches that are particular to that. We try to do the French windows, the awnings themselves as well. A lot, basically from the design guidelines, we pinpoint a lot of the items that were there. Everything from the window support, the roof itself, the flat, the scale of it, everything was from the design guidelines. And then when we go in towards the streamlined modern, same thing. The railings, basically, the old railings were actually kind of wider. They were not pulled out by coding. So obviously we still have that type of feature of the railings. More vertical windows on the side. We actually have the horizontal ending. Also, more textured feature with the step in the very center, which is pretty interesting. And then just kind of keeping balconies that are part of the fixing between. Sorry, the treatment modern.
Are they the same footprint?
No, actually, in the mirrors, obviously they are the same footprints. In this one, I would say they are very similar, but they are definitely different. Going back to the reconstruction of it, I would say that's a little bit different in the sense that previously it was very close plan versus now our houses are all older plan. So that's what this kind of tries to do inside.
Can we go back to the district map just for a moment?
That's one other thing I was jumping there, just seeing that facade on the water. I would also wonder if there is a way, not sure in that style, if there's a way to break up that garage door a little bit more. I appreciate all the other articulations and differentiations make to reduce the massing. But if there's a way to lessen the impact of the big double door, that would be.
That's something I did with people. Yeah, if we could go back to the district map again.
Just one more, let me just add one more. I also noticed that, I mean, I know this is initial sketch, but also in the Mediterranean revival or the mission revival, the front door would have had a prominent heavy set wood front door, and this is diminished. And I don't know if that you haven't gotten to it or whatever, but we would really need to see, I think that's part of the balance issue is there's no front door visible from the road. So there's an out of balance. And then the windows at the top almost look disproportionately large compared to the bottom. So there might be some balance issues.
Yeah, something that we're looking at, like, where the garage, how it has this vertical bands to kind of replicate that in the front door as well.
Right.
But it is something that we studied throughout the neighborhood. And
Yeah.
Drove every single street.
Yeah.
Everything that has been built and specifically of this style, and there are some doors that are set back the way that we're doing with the front porch. And definitely had it, and now that we've been looking at it, having those same bands that the vertical bands of the front garage door had, we will do that in the front door.
All right, but I think that I appreciate that thought, but I want you to also hear what the board's saying, because I hate for you to come back and then have the board say the same thing. So I think kind of, I said front door and I said all of their eyes lit up. So I'm thinking you need to think about the front door facing forward. And then with your diminishing the garage, I think we talked about one of the ways that has been discussed before in previous conversations is to have windows along the front. There is a Mediterranean or a mission revival that has a windows that where it breaks up that garage massing with windows on the top and wood on the bottom. I don't know, I'm asking you, I've seen that discussion before. What do you all think about that as a?
What is that? This is what here am I looking at? These are those fin things?
The garage.
Garage
or
door.
The door.
This is a garage door, like a roll.
That face the alleyway, since it's on the.
They don't have an alley. That's the issue. Because in College Park, this is what Wes was bringing up.
Oh, that's
There's-
not an alley behind that,
It is, but it's shared with the commercial, right back into the commercial.
Oh, you want the side alley access.
And the degree impacts that
Oh, the tree in there. Okay, I was just asking.
Mhm.
I know, they gave me dirty look.
There's a carriage door style and it has the handles. We've done that application where it's still a rolling door or not, it's a tilt door, but it has windows and the carriage door style with the handles. And it's an application, but it's a modern door and
I
that.
think there are a lot of details that really make this pop.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
We could go back just to the district. I want to address 2 points that Aaron brought up. This is a National Register district and it's based on, this particular map is based on the original survey from 1990. And since then, it was resurveyed when, in 2019 or 2020?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so a lot more of the structures, for my house example, 241 Columbia, became contributing under that survey. So this is a much higher quality National Register Historic District than it was before, concerning the number and percentage of contributing structures now in the district compared to when it was first created, which this map represents. So it's not as critical as it was. You can think of it.
I understand.
Yeah. And in terms of time, we had the unfortunate situation where the board was unable to have a physical forum during July and August. And there were people positions vacant and so forth. So that was still time off the clock. So what we would like to do is submit our real application next and have, a decision at as soon as possible time. So that's where we're headed now. So all this is great input. And we'll take that back and then come back with a complete application. We'll have some additional requirements.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anything else? I mean, I think you hit the highlights. Is there anything else you wanted to mention that you want the applicant to consider? Or are you good with what was conveyed?
Yeah, no, I don't think anything necessarily in addition, just to reiterate your suggestion of really taking all those things into consideration. You know, this is a conceptual review right now. And we'll be scrutinizing it a lot more heavily than its actual official application, so. Sensitive to that. Okay, we'll move on to public comments now.
We have one more item. We have one more notification of a demolition.
Can we have department reports?
Which one is it? It's. Where's Conway? You know, since Annie and Yen got here, we now have presentations for everything, like everything's nice again. It's nice to have like staff to do stuff.
All right, so for one final time, I'm Annie Greening, Senior Preservation Planner with the Planning, Zoning and Historic Preservation Division. So this last item is a notice of the demolition, condemnation of a backyard shed at 428 North Palmway. The subject property is a contributing resource in the Old Lucerne Historic District, but the shed itself is a non-contributing resource. We can go next. So this is our property location. And this is our existing primary structure built circa 1938 in the wood frame minimal traditional style. And next, and that is our shed. So the shed at the rear of the property was not considered a resource. It was condemned by the city on August 23rd and will be demolished.
I really have. Seriously.
No, we have to notify you, okay, but it was either this or you do a COA to demolish it, so.
This was the easier option.
This is the easier option.
That little thing, I wouldn't even, I can't say that, but.
In the wall, it's being held up by the feds. We thought this would be like the funny of the evening, you know? No,
They have to build the shed back exactly the way.
no,
One of the conditions.
No. I don't, I safely say I doubt this was ever permitted.
Yeah. Right.
So.
You've been notified, unless you have any comment that you'd like us to incorporate. I don't have any other department comments other than to say that we're hoping to have an LDR amendment as the Historic Preservation Board. You also sit in conjunction with the Planning and Zoning Board as the land planning agency, which is a state designated, which is a state designation. So you will review any proposed LDRs and make a recommendation to the City Commission along with the Planning and Zoning Board. This is a use table change. It was for the Education Foundation. It's to basically allow them to do their they have like a store kind of thing near on oh, I can't even think of it. We'll go through it anyway. I'm tired, but so that I'm hoping to for you to see that in October. We will be back here next Wednesday for 2 items as well.
Question before I go. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. We've approved a lot of stuff and I don't see a lot of dirt moving. What's happening with like 106 Ocean Breeze, a couple of these projects?
So we haven't received any application for 106 Ocean Breeze, and we haven't had any follow-up with the applicant. So we're at the whim of, we do have a huge volume. A lot of the single families and other things, the L Street, the 4 smaller,
Yeah.
they've submitted, they're in review now. So we are seeing a lot of infill and there's a lot of activity happening both within the historic district, but also there's a lot of activity outside the historic district now as well. Which before it was predominantly kind of that renaissance that was happening and that investment moment was started in the historic district. And now it's spread to the rest of, we're seeing a lot of infill on our single family lots in the city.
Yeah, there was there any word on fraud this month, second, okay?
Yeah, where they knocked that up.
No. No, I haven't heard, email me those questions and then, because we have so much going on right now, just for planning and zoning board for the last 2 agendas, we have 6 items per agenda, plus all of your items. Plus we're getting as much between the 2 divisions, we're getting like 30 requests for public information a day. And then we're processing another approximately 30 building permits per week. And then we have also all of our administrative applications as well as our public hearings. So it's hard for me to remember the individuals. So.
You're the socket too, right?
All right, then, move forward with the comments.
Yeah.
We're all good?
So we have some public comment from the public.
Excuse me. Yes, Wes Blackman, CWB Associates. I just want to let you know of a Cummins project that I think we had the pre-application in May. It was for what is 2B 1120 South Lakeside. It's a waterfront property, 75 foot wide by about 250 foot deep. We're dealing with the new base flood elevation in that area. This is north of the previous approval, and the 2 projects are in the general same style and will fit eventually in between the contributing house just to the north and the new construction to the south. But that's underway and should be coming in shortly. I wanted you to be aware of that.
Thank you.
So that's it. Have a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Motion to adjourn?
We have public comment.
Oh,
Sorry. So this is general comment, and we received this from Mr. John Smith of 814 North J Street. And he asked to have his comment read into the record, and he said he would like to congratulate the newest members of the Historic Preservation Board. The board is very important and impactful, not only to the city's historical districts, but to character of our city as a whole. This board desperately needed some fresh faces and fresh perspectives, as many of us were beginning to see the board itself as being a bit historical. As the new members take on this important role, I hope you will resist the current held notion of a Lake Worth beach that might have been, and instead embrace the dynamics of a Lake Worth beach as a living, breathing city made up of a diverse and unique community who is quite comfortable living in the present and has high hopes for the future.
We're finished there. Okay, so.